Today, we're going to talk about one of the most confusing and baffling tactics of narcissists: fake crying. You may have encountered a narcissist who suddenly bursts into tears right after an argument or when confronted. This might leave you wondering, is it possible they're really hurting? Did I misjudge them by thinking they're a narcissist? But let me tell you something important. Those tears are not what they seem. Narcissists can cry, yes, but they're not crying for you. They're using those tears as a manipulation tool to keep you under their control. Today, we'll unravel this tactic and show you how they use it to divert attention and regain power in the relationship. So stay with me, because what we uncover today may forever change the way you interpret their emotions. Let's get started. The first thing we need to clarify is that, contrary to what some might think, narcissists aren't emotionless robots. Of course, they have emotions, just like anyone else. The real problem is that these emotions revolve exclusively around themselves. In other words, it's never about you. What they feel is not related to what you're going through. They don't connect with your pain or suffering. Everything they feel is about themselves: their ego, their need for control, and how they appear to others. False sensitivity. A key aspect of narcissistic behavior is their ability to adapt to the expectations and desires of their victim, especially at the beginning of the relationship. At this stage, the narcissist is often in what we call the idealization phase, where they present themselves as the perfect person, someone who seems tailor-made for you. If they perceive that you're drawn to sensitive or emotional people, they won't hesitate to use fake crying to display a false vulnerability. This kind of crying usually occurs at carefully chosen moments, like when watching an emotional movie with you or during a deep and heartfelt conversation. The narcissist will appear extremely emotional, shedding exaggerated tears over situations that don't truly affect them. They do this because they know this behavior will make you believe they're sensitive, empathetic, and have a deep emotional side that makes them special. At the beginning of the relationship, they may even make you feel lucky to have found someone who connects on such an emotional level. If you're someone who values sensitivity, seeing someone cry can trigger your caregiving instinct. This allows them to quickly gain your trust and, most importantly, make you believe they are genuinely capable of feeling emotions. The goal of this early crying is to build an image of themselves that contrasts with who they truly are. So, when they later start showing their true narcissistic and cruel behavior, you'll remember those tears and wonder if you were wrong to judge them. This is a very subtle trick because it leads you to question your intuition while keeping you trapped in the relationship. The narcissist knows that an empathetic or emotional person is easier to manipulate if they believe both share that emotional connection. By showing this type of sensitivity, the narcissist is actually laying the groundwork to manipulate you later, as in your mind. You'll continue seeing that sensitive person you initially connected with. It's vital to understand that this crying isn't genuine. It's calculated to create a false sense of vulnerability, allowing them to gain your compassion and control over you. Deep down, they don't care about the emotion itself, only the effect it has on you. Crying as emotional manipulation. One of the most common situations where you'll see a narcissist cry is when they use tears as a form of emotional manipulation. This kind of crying usually appears when you confront them or criticize them, especially if you threaten to leave or set boundaries. Narcissists are experts at reading other people's emotions, even if they don't experience them the same way. They know how to hit your weak spots and use your empathy to their advantage. And if they sense their power over you is slipping, they'll turn to one of the most effective strategies: crying. Imagine you're in the middle of an argument with a narcissist and you start gaining ground. You're expressing your feelings, talking about the hurt they've caused, and you notice their arguments are falling apart. At that moment, just when you think you're finally making them see reality, they start crying. But don't be fooled. Those tears aren't a sign of genuine remorse or an acknowledgement of the harm they've done. What they're really doing is disarming you emotionally. They know that, as an empathetic person, seeing someone cry will make you feel bad. They know you'll likely pull back, start doubting yourself, and might even end up apologizing for being too harsh on them. This type of crying is calculated and very effective because it makes you let your guard down. In that moment, the conversation stops being about what they did wrong and shifts to focus on their suffering. And you, being empathetic, might feel guilty and stop the confrontation. This is where the narcissist exploits one of your greatest vulnerabilities, your empathy. It's important to understand that for them, your empathy is a weakness they can and should exploit. They despise empathy, viewing it as a sign of fragility in others. This gives them the upper hand in the relationship because while you try to put yourself in their shoes and understand their perspective, they simply use your compassion as a tool to maintain control over you. Crocodile tears. The term crocodile tears perfectly describes this narcissistic behavior. The expression refers to the ancient belief that crocodiles cry while devouring their prey, as if they felt sorry for what they were doing. In reality, crocodile tears have nothing to do with remorse. They're simply a physiological reflex related to digestion. Similarly, a narcissist's tears don't reflect regret, empathy, or genuine pain. They are designed to provoke an emotional reaction in you. Crying from frustration and rage. Another reason a narcissist might cry is out of frustration. When a narcissist feels they're losing control of a situation, or when things don't go as they expected, it's common for them to experience intense emotions like anger or rage. While we typically associate these emotions with outbursts of anger, in the case of narcissists, they can also manifest in the form of tears. When a narcissist cries out of frustration, they're not doing it because they feel bad about what they've done, but because they feel powerless. What frustrates them is their inability to manipulate the situation in their favor. This frustration can arise when you confront them with the truth, when you don't give in to their demands, or when they start losing you as a source of validation. Frustration crying is a manifestation of their inability to control the environment. Sometimes, this type of crying can also be a prelude to later revenge. A narcissist hates feeling weak or vulnerable, and if they feel the tears didn't produce the desired effect, they might later seek to punish you in some way for having made them reach that point. Crying and victimization. Another common use of crying among narcissists is to play the victim. Often, the narcissist presents themselves as a victim, even when they're clearly the aggressor in the relationship. When confronted, they can quickly adopt the victim role, inventing supposed wrongdoings or misunderstandings. This behavior not only serves to divert attention from their own mistakes, but also to gain sympathy from those around them. Crying, in this context, is the perfect tool to reinforce their victim role. You've likely experienced this if you've ever tried to confront a narcissist about their behavior. Instead of taking responsibility, they break into tears, accuse you of being insensitive, and manage to make you feel guilty for even bringing the issue up. This type of crying is particularly devastating for victims because it not only prevents the resolution of problems, but also invalidates the real suffering of the victim, who ends up being seen as the aggressor in the situation. Conclusion. A narcissist's tears aren't a sign of remorse or empathy. They are a tool of manipulation designed to gain control, attention, and validation. If you've ever felt confused or guilty when seeing a narcissist cry, it's important to remember that those tears are not connected to a true sense of responsibility or love. They are a strategy to keep emotional control over you and ensure you stay trapped in the cycle of manipulation. If you find yourself in such a situation, it's crucial to strengthen your self-esteem and set clear boundaries. Don't let the tears distract you from your own needs and emotions. Stand firm in what you feel, and don't let yourself be manipulated by the emotional tactics they use to maintain control over the relationship. I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments, and if you like the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.